Hey, what's up? It's a Figure Hunter, and up for discussion today, not just review, are what are the best devices on the market today for CrossFit training or high-intensity interval training. We just concluded the 2021 CrossFit Games with a new leader in the men's division and Tia continuing to dominate the women. And so I am wanting to just break down what types of metrics, because now we're maybe entering a training cycle. We can get pumped up for the Open coming in March. So what devices are purposeful and useful and have purposeful and useful metrics for CrossFit training, CrossFit tracking, high intensity interval training versus all the running, swimming, and biking videos that are on the market today. So as always, the Fit Gear Hunter YouTube channel and the website associated with it are all for testing devices for CrossFit training. So if you like it, please give the video a thumbs up and please consider subscribing for more. I'm going to go into a long-term in-depth analysis and comparison of all the major training platforms that are out there, from the app and what training specifics: Coros, Polar, Garmin, Suunto. In the upcoming days, I got a Suunto watch coming in. I'm going to compare them all head to head, and I'll give you sort of a brief overview video in a couple of days about that. But what do we look for when we're looking for CrossFit tracking devices? What are the main things it has to have? So what we're going to talk about today is, all the devices that don't qualify at all, and then all the manufacturers, and then the lines within each manufacturer, ranked in stack order, the top 4, so going from worst and ending up with best in the ranking classification, the watches to look for within their lineup. So the main thing that we look at what are the qualifications? Number 1, it has to connect to an external heart rate monitor. Has to connect to an armband or a chest strap. Has to connect to an external heart rate monitor, or else it is completely off the list. Because as we've seen, optical heart rate sensors fail all the time in CrossFit workouts. There's a lot of wrist flex, there's a lot of movement, and they cannot keep up. Even the best are at like 90% accurate, but majority are in the 60s and a lot in the 40s for accuracy. So if it doesn't connect to a chest strap, it can't qualify, because even if it has the world's best analytics behind it, if it is not tracking your workout, then it's not on the leaderboard. So second behind that, workout exertion evaluation. Does it help you to understand the level of intensity of your workout and how much you pushed yourself? Does it have some sort of analytical metrics, not just tracking your time spent in each heart rate zone and showing you a graph of that, but does it give you some sort of value in evaluation for how hard your workout? Third, does it give you some sort of idea of recovery time from one intense workout to the next based on the number of intense workouts? Does it help you to have an awareness for when you should pause and do a light workout or recovery workout versus doing another hard, intense workout? Fourth, does it have training load? Does it track your overall, how much weight you're putting on your body to be able to evaluate, are you growing your fitness? Are you pushing your body? So like the workouts recently, are they as hard as the workouts in previous periods? Does it help you to see how you're training from one session to the next and how much load you're carrying over time to grow your fitness? And fifth, does it have wellness and sleep evaluation? Does it help you to have some idea for how you're improving, how you're growing, or how your body is recovering across all the different workouts that you're carrying? Because that's a fundamental aspect. So with that, who is completely off the leaderboard? Who got cut in the cut lines? Who did not make the top 4 as far as a manufacturer or a model or a watch or any of those things? The first one to mention is CrossFit's official wearable Whoop. Whoop does not connect to an external heart rate monitor. And the heart rate monitor on the device itself is highly inaccurate when worn on the wrist. It's like 80% accurate on the bicep, but that's still not accurate enough for me if you're really looking at it. And if you wear it on the wrist, it's like 44% accurate. That means it's missing far more than it's getting right. That means it is off the list, because if it's not giving you workout intensity evaluation, if it's not accurately tracking, then it can't tell you your strength score and your recovery. Next up, the Apple Watch. The Apple Watch has an incredibly great built-in optical heart rate sensor, as well as it can connect to an external heart rate, but it has no analytics. It gives you the most bland, and even if you look at third parties, the third parties might give you a piece of some of these things, like maybe a workout exertion number or evaluation, but it doesn't have, there's no party that ties it all together for your training load over time, your recovery time, your workout, and even the wellness stuff is a little bit light. Samsung. it's not even easy to really connect to a chest strap, and there's a lot of things, and then on top of it, there's no analytics. There's no workout exertion analytics. There's no details there. You can download apps. None of it is sort of built in. None of it's there, and none of the apps really fully accomplishing those things. And now let's talk about some of the international manufacturers. My boy, so the TicWatch Pro 3, Huawei, they have a line of watches, Honor, Xiaomi. So a lot of beautiful watches out there with premium design features and AMOLED screens that have 2 weeks of battery life. None of them connect to external heart rate monitors. Most of them do not do any kind of analytics. So TicWatch Pro 3, the Honor, I think, a number of Amazfit watches, and I'll talk about one Amazfit in just a second that's outside of those categorizations, but they don't connect to a chest strap and they don't give workout analytics. So they just give you the bland heart rate zones or maybe a PAI score, it's something like that, but they don't connect to an extra heart rate monitor, so they fail the list. Now, Huawei is a really more tragic because it's a big, beautiful AMOLED, really affordable, long battery life, and they use first speed analytics to give you training load, recovery time, and workout exertion evaluation, but they don't connect to a chest strap. Their heart rate monitor, the optical heart rate on the watch does not work when you're doing CrossFit from wearing it on the wrist, and so it is it is a tragic there. There's one caveat to all of those manufacturers, and that's the Amazfit Stratos 3, which actually uses first speed analytics and can connect to a chest strap. I think some of the operating system stuff is a little bit more clunky, but overall that can be a possibility that I'm not going to mention in the leaderboard because the primary manufacturer is off and out of the running. They didn't make the cut list. So what we're going to talk about now is we're going to go from last place to first place. 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to look at sort of things on the watch as well as things in the app just very briefly with each of them as we talk about it. And we're going to talk about what the product lines or the products within their lineup that you should focus on and who you should not focus on, because some of these manufacturers have devices that do not provide these details. So with that, let's dive into number 4. Coming in fourth place, the Coros watch. So you actually can see their training metrics on the watch itself. I'll just sort of do some of the details, running performance. We're going to talk about why this is fourth place, because in order to activate these training components and training analysis, and we'll look at the app in a second, you actually have to run on a flat surface, even paced run for 300 minutes over the course of 42 days. So you have to run for 42 days before you can see any of these detailed aspects for training. So we're going to look at the overall training that you experience as well as the training and the workout. So here you can see running performance if you're a runner, but we're not going to look at that because we're just looking at CrossFit training. So here's the fatigue level. So the intensity of workouts over the last period of time, your base fitness, you'll see that grow over time, and the load impact. You click into that and you can see your training load. This is super frustrating because I actually had a really hard workout on Wednesday and I am using so many devices right now. I did not double check that this was started and it was not. So anyway, you can see your distribution. So, ideal for improving your fitness. Now it might show something different if it was, correct. And then you can see your recovery time. So for whatever reason, the last 2 workouts I worked out on Friday and Saturday, it's giving exorbitantly high recovery times. So 62 hours. Now, I haven't done anything for 24 hours, and it didn't even have my Wednesday workout in there, but it's saying please rest 52 hours before hard training, 62 hours to full recovery. So it's saying I'm at 28% recovery. I, took a nap this afternoon. I don't feel like that's accurate. So you can see that, and then if you go into the training history, we'll show you just briefly how it shows you the workout evaluation on the watch before going into see the workout. So this is the summary. See the workout on the app itself. So it shows you your training load. A lot of these look a lot like Garmin. Aerobic training effect and anaerobic training effect. One thing I will note, and I'll make a little bit of a note in the video, and we're going to do a comprehensive long-term study of this versus all the other manufacturers, is that anaerobic training effect is coming out super high. This was not, in my opinion, a training effect, highly anaerobic. It was, maybe in the beginning, but the tail end, all the more intense parts. And then you can see the workout time. And see, from this workout, now it had 2 harder days, but it says 4 days till full recovery. So the recovery time's a little bit off. So let's look at the app and then come back together. All right, so these are what the workouts look like on the Coros. So you can see it shows you, big pretty graphs. In the middle right, you see the training load score. So these things pop up and populate once you've activated the Evo Lab, and we'll talk about that in a second. You see on the bottom the training effect. It's giving me high, you see the heart rate graph, and it spiked because we had rowing intervals in between, a bunch of other stuff. But aerobic training effect 4.6. If you look at the last workout, and this is where I don't totally trust it, aerobic training effect 4.4, and that's like a high score from what they're saying is the peak max, 4.6. So it's not giving me enough aerobic training effect. And obviously the recovery time is really high. So here's the Evo Lab. So you can see at the top segment section is all about running. We're not going to look at any of that stuff. And then you see your fatigue, base fitness, load impact, 7-day load. So it's giving you really good information. And because we want to be brief in this video, I'm not going to look at each piece or dive into the charts, but this only gets activated if you've run 300 minutes on flat-paced ground without doing interval work. So it has to be at least a 10-minute session, 300 minutes. That is a lot of running with the running profile to be able to get all these metrics. And that coupled with their sleep, so I'm not going to show it now, but the sleep analytics for Coros is terrible as well. So they're missing wellness altogether, because I think the sleep is junk and it looks terrible and it's not easy. It doesn't translate to any valuable information. And then the fact that you can't get the training load to activate until you've run 300 minutes makes this 4th place. Let's talk. Okay, so Coros. Let's talk about what Coros does well and what it doesn't do well. So Coros does have the training lab. It used to be you could get your recovery time and you would see training effect for any workout that you did other than strength training. So you would see your aerobic and anaerobic, and you'd get your recovery time in the watch but nowhere else. So now they're evaluating, and you couldn't see a real training load. Their training load was like, you worked out today, you didn't work out today. You worked out today, you didn't work out today. And so you didn't see the evolution of all that. But now they have what's called Evo Labs. Evo Labs gives you a true training load, a true fatigue tracking, a true overall load impact, and your base fitness growth. And it shows you really good information, but it's a huge caveat because you have to run for 300 minutes. And you think about that, that is a lot. So 10 minutes a day for 30 days. And most people in the CrossFit training community don't want to run that much. So Coros is for sure 4th place. I really like the stats. I like how they show. I like how their watches work. But unless you're going to put in the time to run, it's not worth looking at as far as a solution for CrossFit training. And then the other thing behind it is I feel like they really don't have any wellness and sleep tracking. They do track your sleep. It's in a big blurry thing. Look at any of my videos on Coros watches. The most recent one I did about the Coros Pace 2, and you can see a review for the sleep, but there's no wellness tracking, and the sleep is just a ball of mess. So with that, that's Coros number 4. Let's look at number 3. Okay, so coming in 3rd is the Polar. So you can see, and one thing I hate about Polar is their backlight's terrible. So you can see some aspects where it's building this cardio load. This is what I'm going to test over time, but on the watch itself and not on all watches, we'll talk about that in a second, you get cardio load. But built into the app for almost all watches, you get this same information where it tracks your strain, your exertion over the last 7 days versus your tolerance, which is your 28 days of exertion. So it does show you, and it'll show it at the top. So detraining, main training, productive, and overtraining. So I really do like their simple system. So that is what Polar does as far as the training load. And then obviously on the wellness, you can see that it does give you training recommendations. And you can see your nightly recharge. So it'll tell you when you have had a terrible night's sleep. So I had a bad autonomic nervous system score and positive sleep score. And then you see the workouts themselves. We'll go into, let's see where the last training session 34 hours ago. We'll see how it shows you on the watch itself what type of training details and the exertion. You can see the cardio load score there. So that's the overall evaluation of the difficulty. There are no recovery times either on the watch or in the device. So it shows you the calories used. It'll show you carbs, proteins, and fats that you burned. But the biggest thing to look at is obviously tracking how much time in the red zone, but this cardio load score, and that will flow into that training load that we looked at a second ago, which is just evaluating your last 7 days of workouts versus the last 28 days. And let's look at the app to see what that has to say. And coming in 3rd place is Polar. So we can see, the impact. So this is just your overall daily time frame. And you can see your training over time. When you go into a workout, this is the type of stats you get. So you get the big red screen, which I don't love, But either way, you get all the stats up at the top. This main segment, this Training Load Pro, is the most valuable piece of information where it shows you the high impact of a particular workout. So you can see it here. Training Load Pro shows you the, again, high workout, the main basic stats. And then when you're tracking a device from the watch and actually using the watch, you get these heart rate zones, heart rate graphs, but you don't get recovery time with Polar, which is a tragic thing they used to offer, and then it just disappeared. So you have Training Load Pro, and that shows you your workout exertion level of the workout itself, but it really boils down to much more useful information here on the cardio load. Now you can see that I just started using a watch, so it has 7 days of data where you can see my strain score is now at 61, but my tolerance is 0 because I don't have 28 days of data. But you can see over the course of time when I was using the watch that it tracks it really well. You can see the workout, like the red line is the intensity of the workout that day. The purple line is your overall intensity over the last 7 days, and the blue line is your fitness growth, so your 28-day baseline. So you can see these things visually really well, and I'm not going to get into a big full overview, but the cardio load is really a nice format. It puts it all together, the exertion of each workout and how it's affecting, improving your fitness over time. And then obviously the other thing that they do really well is sleep. So you can see overall, I haven't gotten great sleep recently, so I did get great sleep this time. So you can see, they give you tips on the bottom, but the ANS charge on the left is the autonomic nervous system, which just has a bunch of stats to it. So you can see a bunch of graphs. We're not going to look at the details. And then your sleep charge. This is almost just like what Garmin's doing, giving you a sleep score and an overall breakdown in your sleep. So Polar does it great. The ANS charge does look at heart rate, but it only captures a pocket of 4 hours in the night. So it's not all day as some of the other manufacturers are offering. So let's talk about Polar's watches on the whole. Number 3 is Polar being number 3 is tough because I feel like it's a battle between them and number 2, because I really like Polar's simplicity. They give really simple information on the training load and how you see your workout impact over time. I don't love how they show you the workout information in a big red screen. But they really do the Training Load Pro really well, and the nightly recharge is a very useful wellness indicator. On the con side, I really feel like they don't have recovery time, which is a useful metric if it's done correctly. They don't track wellness throughout the day. They don't show stress throughout the day. They just show your evaluation of wellness from your recovery at night. But still, they do an excellent job with that. So that's number 3, Polar. If you're looking at Polar watches, you can buy anything but the Unite. So Ignite 2, Polar Vantage M, Vantage Vim M2, the Vantage V, the Vantage V2, the Grit X. So across any of the spectrum, they're going to be the same stats. Now, the cardio load will only show up on the watch, I think, in the Vantage M, M2, V, V2, and Grit X. So you won't get it on the Ignite. But do not get the Unite because it doesn't have the training load details to it. So that's the Polar family. Let's look at number 2. And second place is Suunto. And I apologize, I don't have a Suunto watch, but I am getting one to run a full comparison of all the softwares compared to one another. So Suunto gives great analytics on almost all the lines. I'm just going to spill the beans out of the gate. So basically the 5 and the 9, and so you kind of want to ignore the 3, the 7, because the 7's beautiful, but it doesn't connect to a chest strap, so it doesn't have the analytics. So here you can see the analytics on the pages. Now this was with a Suunto 7, I think, which the heart rate is not accurate, but you can see in the middle here your PTE, your level of training impact, 2.5. The recovery time was just saying 3 hours. So you can see that workout. I think the one before that has at least some more details. Your EPOC is your training, evaluation coupled with the PTE, your TSSR, score, and all of these things, and then your recovery time. You can see the workout statistically there, but all of this now applies to the training graphs so that are porting over. Now, I don't have a lot of data in here, but you can at least get an idea of fitness and fatigue. So as you're growing some part of it, your fitness is growing alongside the fatigue or the impact. And there's a lot of details here, which I'm going to do a separate analysis of. But one thing just to see is that they're really now tracking your load, your fatigue level over time, and the overall training impact that you're having on time, coupled with the information and stats you're getting in the watch itself or on that specific graph. And then the next thing you can see is you can see the sleep analytics from the last time. So now they're tracking awake, REM, light, and deep sleep, and you see the daily activity. That is specifically your, and I could see it was just body, the amount of time I was wearing this watch in this period of time. You can see your impact of your resources. This is resources under the first column of daily activity. You see your depletion of your energy because of your heart rate variability, coupled with sleep, can help you to see your overall wellness, both from a sleep recovery to an overall resources recovery, which is a deeper metric over a longer period of time. So you can see how you deplete over the course of the day. So with that, that's Suunto. Let's talk. So Suunto is really changing, I think, some of the value offering they have. They were not in the top contender. They were more like third or fourth, in sort of, for different reasons. But they do a great job. Actually, they do some of the similar stats that Garmin's been doing for a while, because they both use first speed analytics. So it's high quality analytics on the exertion tracking and on the recovery time and on the resources and sleep tracking. So all that's coming from first beat. So similar to the body battery, and we'll talk about that with when we talk about Garmin, but similar to the body battery and exertion, all those are coming from a high quality analytical provider, as well as now they're offering training peaks from the load tracking and the exertion and fatigue over time and fitness development over time. So now they've offered in the load, because it used to be, it was just like a training log where like, how much time did you physically go working out, whether it was, running a 5-minute mile or going on a 15-minute mile walk. So all those things now show the intensity and the load over time. So Suunto has really stepped it up. But if you're looking at Suunto watches, you have to look at the 5 or the 9. So do not look at the 7. It is beautiful. I love everything about the 7, except it doesn't connect to a chest strap. It obviously has terrible battery life, but it doesn't connect to a chest strap, and the heart rate monitor on it is not good. So you look at the 5 and the 9. The 3 is missing some of the analytical features, but all the primary features are on the 5 and the 9 for the Suunto. So with that, let's look at number 1. And coming in first place is the Garmin family. The Garmin family of watches, specifically the Forerunner series as well as the Phoenix series, and they have a lot of different things. So number 1, if you look at the workouts, let's get to the last activity. You can see a lot of details there. So it'll give you can see your training effect. So this is the aerobic impact, the anaerobic, and your load, which is the overall impact on your overall training. You can see it summarized it there. And when you come out of a workout, you will see the recovery time from that workout. It'll accumulate however much recovery time was already on the watch. You can see, that type of graph. You can see all stats, which just sort of shows you the summary of the details. But the primary thing is that training effect. So you see the impact of that workout on your overall training fitness, and then you can go in and you can see this connects to Bluetooth and Ant Plus chest straps. So you have a wide array there, and then you go into training status. Now, for whatever reason, it's not showing, because I haven't run. So one thing about the training status, it's always evaluating your load, but it will show you the training status icon if you do 2 5-minute runs using GPS run activity. So 2 5-minute runs, not a whole lot. You could do that as a warm-up twice a week, and then from there you only have to do it once a week to get this to say whether you're underworking, overworking, maintaining, peaking, any of those different things. But it still gives you all the load tracking regardless. So your last VO2 max time, and then your load over the last week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. So it even gives you colors on certain watches to determine what type of workout that was, whether it was more anaerobic or more highly aerobic. Certain watches will track your type of workout over time, your recovery. So I'm pretty good. Recovery's coming down. So this obviously you can compare that to Coros, which is still telling me I've got 52 days, 52 hours left of recovery. Heat acclimation even. So some of those details, but here you just have the basic things. So you have your load range, your load over the last days. They give you some more details, and your recovery time as it stands on the watch. Oh, I just got better. The other thing for the wellness tracking, so they have body battery, which you can't see it on there. I have been using the Venue 2, so we'll just look at that on the Venue 2 because I like the big pretty screen, and I use my Phoenix 6 for tracking. So you can see that with your stress levels, you can see your body battery depleting or where it's at in the day, how much you were generated over the last night, as well as they have a great on the watch good sleep evaluation, much like Polar does. So this is two different pieces. So body battery is like your heart rate variability, and the sleep is just like your score, and then the details for the sleep. So great wellness there. Let's talk about Garmin on the whole. And the reigning champion and Huawei, this is like the Tia Claire Toomey of the sports tracking for CrossFit or high intensity interval training. So is Garmin. So you can see so much information, and they have really continued to improve. So if you look at a workout and type of exertion details you get there, so you get the stats. They did add lap times. So if you're tracking your time per round on your watch, you can see it all broken down there. And then here's the workout evaluation. You got the training effect in the middle. They're tracking respiration rate, elevation, your overall temperature. So these are built into the watch I've been using. So some of those stats aren't available for all watches, but you see the training effect there. And then you can see in the performance, because I haven't gone on that run, it doesn't automatically populate the training status. So you can see the watch. So the Phoenix 6 Sapphire, so this is what the load looks like. So you can see the type of load. These are only available, this what they call load labels, only available on the 745, 945, and Phoenix 6 series. You do get this on all of the Forerunner watches. So you can see your load level. So you can see this huge one, a week ago, and you can dive into any of those workouts. And then you see your 7-day load. So your overall range over time, as well as the optimal recommended range to continue to grow your fitness. You can see where it shows you all of that information, and then you can get into the overall wellness aspects. So you can see your, depletion. You can see in the middle of the day, like I took a nap just because it's Sunday and I just try to be super restful on Sunday, and it actually, rejuvenated, and you can see my stress levels throughout the day by clicking on the bottom, and you can see other days where I was more depleted, where I went down to a body battery of 29. You can see where your overall impact of the day on your life and how it's drained you. You get good sleep information. So now they've added this. This is going to come to the 245. It's the analytics from First Beat, and they have pulse ox. You can get respiration. They're improving all of those things because there's the sleep scores, a bunch of details for the sleep, and not every watch has, I think, this update, but it's coming across the board. So their wellness, the fact that they have pulse ox for your sleep, you can see respiration rate and workouts, and the way they're tracking load makes them the definite winner for now. So what does Garmin do well? It is now kind of doing everything well and even better, and let me tell you why, because it's important to listen. It used to be they had their own analytics for sleep tracking, but then they started using First Beat analytics, and they purchased First Beat, and so the sleep tracking is kind of coming across all the watches. There's a question mark to where it's on the 245, and so let me say out of the gate, if you want all these analytics, you have to go with the 245, 745, 945, or Phoenix 6 series, or maybe like the Tactics Delta. You can't do the Vivo Active 4, the Venue 2, any of the Venues, any of the Vivo Actives, and any of the Instincts. So you can't do that if you want the workout analytics, but they have gotten so much better. So now the sleep analytics are coming from First Beat. They give you a sleep score. They already had the First Beat body battery, which shows your stress level throughout the day and the impact of workouts and sleep and stress has on your depletion of your energy. And then the workout analysis is showing you great information on training effect, aerobic and anaerobic, great recovery time. And something that they've now added is they have what's called improved recovery time, which now your recovery time is taking into account your exertion of the workout, how your body battery is depleted, how quality your sleep was, to determine if you need more time. So if you get a terrible night's sleep, your recovery time is going to go up. It's going to say you need more recovery time because it's looking at you more holistically, which is so good, so useful. And they also have things that nobody else has, with adding music, pulse ox that's useful, apps and watch faces and customization and all sorts of things, and a bunch of different model variants that you can get. But stick to only those models. The Enduro's one too. So the Forerunner series and the Phoenix series. Stick to those models if you want any of the real extensive CrossFit tracking. So with that, let's talk in summary. So there you have it. 4, 3, 2, 1. Coros, Polar, Suunto kind of tied. Suunto was behind number 3, and now they're number 2 because they added the Training Peaks analytics, and the training load over time has gotten better on top of the resources, the body battery, the heart rate variability all day, and the sleep analytics that they already have. Recovery time is already built into their system. So, and then the top dog is Garmin, with a lot of products that you should not look at within the Garmin lineup. So just to reiterate that, you shouldn't look at the Venue 2 because it's beautiful, but doesn't have training analytics, doesn't have training load, doesn't have recovery time. You should not look at the Vivo Active. You should not look at the Instinct. The Instinct makes no sense because it's a big, brutal watch. It'd be great for a CrossFit. Doesn't have the training analytics. You have to look at the Forerunner series. I would skip the 645. That's way out of date. But 245, 745, 945, Phoenix 6 series across the board. The Enduro has it. Some of the super expensive fancy watches have it. But so those are the Garmin watches. But Garmin's the top leader. They have so many things. They can add music. They, you can add watch faces. You can add apps. You can do all sorts of things with Garmin that are far and away, not automatically provided with a lot of manufacturers. Garmin's evolving their platform. So with that, that's the Fit Gear Hunter, the best watches right now in 2021. Thanks for watching.